want to go into the enemy's plan, right? And when you're missing a Queen of Pain, that just makes it all the more obvious. So Empire immediately go for the split push option, pushing out both bottom and top lane.
Yeah, I definitely think that Empire feel pretty comfortable with this position because they're just going to push faster. Like a Tiny Wisp, if you notice at bottom, just 4 hits and he's already got the tower down to 600 from full. And so going for these types of trades is perfectly fine. Your Tiny is getting quite farmed off of this, and what you're trying to do in situations
the
like
relocate,
top,
there's the blink in. Ice just gets destroyed. The immediate response is there from Hao, but no matter how fast you are, Tiny, Earthshaker, and Wisp are just a little bit faster, both in movement speed, but also that burst damage.
And that's the issue. That's the first time you've seen Vici not 5-man, right? They show Ice at top. It's pretty clear that he's alone, especially with this ward up. Like this ward, when they went for the smoke and got it off, it meant that this entire section was so easy for them to spot. Ice shows himself on the map for like 2 seconds, immediately gets taken out, and now, I mean, Vici are just scared because there's no real safe place for them to show themselves. They're not entirely certain where the wards are, and that's just making it difficult for them to maneuver around the map. And
they've only got 1 smoke left. So that's really the last opportunity for Vici Gaming to get the easy, sneaky pick off and turn that into 5-manning. If you're out of smokes, though, and you're stuck in a situation where you want a 5-man, but you also maybe don't have the power to push uphill yet, what do you really do? What are your options? Do you just 5-man into tier 2 towers repeatedly and then try and hope that gold advantage is enough for you to go for maybe Roshan? Or do you continue to try and find, well, maybe a pick off on Resolution? This is a way to go. Call down's not going to be there in time, though. Resolution is fast enough to get away. Hookshot actually misses from Ice. Either way, it just doesn't seem like they were going to have a good fight, as both supports were kind of ready to respond to the Tiny's need.
The thing is, like you said, if you don't have smokes like that, you just have to fight around where you think you have vision. They already dewarded the ward over here. They have one over here, so they can spot when the Tiny goes for the Ancients. But at the same time, I think that was just a little bit of sloppy execution by Vici Gaming, because they should have at least been able to force the relocate or something out of that. But the Tiny actually just walked away very calmly and wasn't in range of anything. And now Empire are just going to play the split push game because they're allowed to. If you only send one hero to deal with the split push, then the Tiny IO relocate in, instantly blow somebody out, and get out. And that's the thing that you're so afraid of if you're Vici Gaming right now. Like, they're so afraid of it right now that Super's even opted to go for the Blink Dagger so that he can initiate upon the Tiny, but I don't even... Again, that's more of a mid-game build. Like, you don't actually have any damage now on to the Dragon Knight, and so you're going to struggle in the mid-game to do more than just stun.
13-11 right now. It's 25 minutes in, and Empire do hold a pretty decent experience lead and only about a 2,000 gold lead, but they do have, at least for now, the better late game in the Tiny Wisp, right? It's just such a powerful combination late game. It seems, it just seems really tough to beat, and I'm not sure if Gyrocopter DK are going to be good enough.
Especially with this Queen of Pain picking up this Aghanim Scepter, it's going to be really hard to push into Empire's 5-man. It's going to just make things even more frustrating for Vici Gaming. Because it's not as if they aren't trying to get into fights, it's just that they simply can't without forcing something completely and losing the game. And this is the advantage of their lineup because they decided to go for the Medallion, they are dire side, and the Tiny Wisp can do this quite quickly. And with this Roshan, it's going to stall the game out even further for them if they want to. They can decide to go for this bottom tier 2 push because the tower's so low, and I don't think that Vici Gaming want to get into that fight in any case.
Rocket is there. Vici Gaming are on their way, but it's just too late. The Age is already in the hands of Resolution, and Vici Gaming are left with the option of whether or not they want to try and force this one. It looks like Ice says we have to. They trap in Resolution and will be able to get the kill on him, it seems, but he does have the Aegis. So the rest of Team Empire are going to wait it out and try and go for a re-engage. But Hao is making sure that Aloha Dance doesn't have the opportunity to be able to get over to Resolution. Left-hand side, Silent trying to blow up FY. Looks like he's successful, and they do get the relocate over to the side. Aloha Dance barely survives through that one, but Super blinks forward. It is able to get the kill on the Wisp, and now trying to lock down Resolution. Gets the stun, and with Hao's damage, it looks like they'll be able to get the kill on the Tiny as well. A fantastic fight for Vici Gaming, and with the Dragon Knight as well as the Gyrocopter still up, they're going to be able to push uphill.
Yeah,
this could be a whole lane of racks, actually.
It's just so fortuitous that the lane is pushed up. They immediately head there. They're going to get racks off of this, and Empire are going to be so dissatisfied with how that just went. They didn't get anything out of that. They managed to pick up 2 heroes that weren't really necessary to the push, and at the same time, you lose your Tiny twice without any sort of backup. And I think it was just a matter of not being able to set up that fight properly, and people just being way too split up from each other. Like, Empire took that fight as if it were mini 1v1 fights, and you're never going to be able to consolidate your power in that way. And now you're with the 2 BKBs. Vici actually never wasted them. Like, now they've got 9-second BKB still remaining, and the one time they do use them, they pick up a fairly dominant fight. But I still think Empire is in an okay position despite what just happened. Like, losing a Rax in a tier 3 is obviously pretty bad, but they still have the experience lead. The difference in net worth is not that bad, all things considered.
Yeah. I mean, if any combination can fight well up against a Rax or 2 Rax advantage, it's the Tiny Wisp. And then on top of that, I mean, it was just the range Rax, right? Like the melee being more really the important one when it comes to pushing down towers. So Vici Gaming got definitely a really good change-up. I mean, the trajectory of this game seemed to be all Team Empire, but they aren't in the driver's seat just yet. Team Empire is still going to be able to farm up rather quickly on this Tiny, who is working on the Assault Cura. So Vici Gaming are going to need another big team fight like that soon. Question is, how soon do you really try and force it? You maybe think that you bought yourself enough time that you can sit back, farm up, and maybe wait for your opportunity, or do they need to go in the next 5 to 10 minutes?
No, wait for your opportunities. That's what they did exactly right there. Even with the Roshan advantage that Empire had, they just had a better looking fight because they were able to split up everybody. And Ice had such a good initiation. He was able to split the Tiny and the IO up from everybody. He got his Blade Mail off before the combination. So the Tiny pretty much killed himself, and you're just waiting for opportunities like that to happen, and you instantly lose a Rax. The thing, though, is that I think once Resolution gets a BKB, things become a little bit tricky for them. He's fully completed his Assault Cuirass, and so that last fight has to demonstrate to him that I have to get a BKB at some point.
Super on Hot Pursuit here. He's got the Blink Dagger. Silent, though, has an Invis rune. And they don't have any counter vision, so he is perfectly fine.
Oh, they've got the gem.
Never mind. Silent. Jesus, he stuck around for way too long. Blinks himself away. He may still actually be caught. He's got another blink on the left-hand side. Always want to fly is the one who's actually going to fall. Vici Gaming turned to address him and even stole the Shallow Grave. Nice steal for the Rubik. That's a big one.
Yeah, but the Tiny and the IO aren't interested in getting into any sort of fights. The Glyph is up, and I expect Vici Gaming to use it, because you don't want to just give up its free Tier 2 tower. It stalls the game out a little bit longer, and it just makes things really tough, because the more exposed Tier 2 towers you have, the better potential there is for the combination to just, when you're all in 5-man pushing, they just backdoor your tower.
Yeah,
and then they back to your Rax.
And Team Empire not in a position where they can go, okay, we forced the Glyph, let's just go ahead and 5-man in and, try and go uphill. Empire are going to be spending this game a lot more just kind of poking and prodding at these towers every now and again. There's no potential all-in play for the next 5 minutes. So the Glyph being used there, definitely not a problem. Super does have a Sage here, and if this is really early, we've seen DKs occasionally go SNY, but it's super rare. Much more obvious would be the Silver Edge build with the Shadow Blade, but I think you would have built that first, right? I mean, you mentioned that earlier, plus he's already got the Blink Dagger, so is this a Heaven's Halberd
I would like to see it, especially if he thinks that Resolution is going to be greedy. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a time window where he's still not going to grab a BKB in time, and that's actually going to really screw him over. As Hao is looking for it right now, and Vici Gaming are all grouped up. They're all ready for this fight right now, and Empire just trying to get the high ground advantage, but it looks like they're actually just going to push straight down mid, and there's not a whole lot that can be done about this. They should get back in time.
Team Empire going to be forced into a base defense here. There's no reason they should give up a melee Rax. They're a little bit late on their TPs, though, it seems, as they're even going to go ahead and use the Wisp and Tiny TP back. They don't want to try and relocate in. Probably for the best. Super is going to be the first target here with a Fissure and a small amount of damage laid out. Super is even tossed up in the air and immediately, Jesus, gets Echo slammed down, and our Dragonite is just performed a disappearing act. Yoki, though, managed to get saved out from the Shallow Grave. Aloha Dance. Ice with the force step forward will make sure he does go down. And Resolution is left without his little buddy.
That was so scary. I saw Super, and I think he thought he could wait to use the BKB, but as soon as he gets tossed up in the air, he gets slammed right back down with the Sonic Wave.
Yeah, that was just a really good read from Yoki going, okay, we can one-shot him. Oh, FY, hello. He performs an Echo Slam of his own and even then steals the Blink away from the Queen of Pain as they kill him. Now Resolution, he's been caught inside the cogs. The Force Staff over, Resolution still caught by the Frostbite. Needs to try and get back to the fountain, though, as the Wisp is still not up for another 15 seconds. That's gotta be that melee Rax forfeit.
Yeah, they're going to have to give this up. Even without the Queen of Pain, they can't really get into a fight right now. And Hao going to take that Rax and walk away. And I mean, Vici Gaming are looking stronger by the moment, and they're just approaching these fights so much better. Like, FY is still in Echo Slam. He was able to counter-use it onto Silent. He's stolen Blink. He's just been so relevant this game, and now we're starting to see a hero. Rubik isn't typically a hero that you pick in the first two, almost ever, right? Like, you take the Dazzle, you take the Disruptor, but they felt so confident in his Rubik that they were willing to take it in the first two, and now you're seeing why.
Yeah, absolutely. And our Gyrocopter, he's about to finish up an MKB, so a huge increase in damage for him. The Dragonite is actually going to be going for the little bit later SNY. So no Heaven's Halberds. I thought that would have been a great idea versus the Tiny in order to kind of force him to go into a BKB, and if he doesn't have it, that Disarm would be rather powerful. You could see Resolution is going for the BKB now, though. He's already got the Ogre Club.
Yeah, it probably makes more sense to go for the SNY here. If he goes for a Silver Edge, which he could, it doesn't really prevent too much at this point anymore. And maybe if he had gone for it for first or second item, but almost nobody does that. And SNY is just an overall decent item. The thing I'm increasingly more worried about, though, is that if Resolution doesn't get a BKB by the time the next fight rolls around, I just don't think he can do anything. If you notice in every single fight, Ice is throwing himself upon Resolution. He pops the Blade Mail and lets him hit him. Otherwise, you just waste the potential of the Wisp, because the Dragonite at the same time engages on Aloha Dance every single time. And so the Tiny isn't able to protect anyone while he's in the cogs, and he's just taking repeated damage.
Super pops his ultimate. He wants to take this tier 2, take it fast, and, well, they could probably even push uphill and force another team fight. They're in a great position for it. Roshan is going to be respawning in 3 minutes. In the meantime, Team Empire are immediately trying to go for the split push, as the Tiny Wisp always does. Resolution takes away the tier 2 and now starts marching uphill. So it seems like Vici Gaming, they probably don't want to make that kind of trade-off. It's just too dangerous against a Tiny Wisp. Trading racks is when you're kind of already ahead. Seems a bit unnecessary. As I say that, though, the Tiny Wisp has backed themselves away, and Vici Gaming are now almost putting themselves in a position to re-engage.
Yeah, the problem right now is that Empire don't have really many wards up. They've got one for Roshan to spot the possible attempt, but if they don't walk through that river area, it's actually really hard for them to see what Vici Gaming are doing, and so they don't necessarily feel safe going for this top split push. With all the information that we have on the map, it looks really obvious, right?
Yep.
To try to force them back, but in this type of situation, it's really difficult for them to just make that blind call, and with Roshan spawning so soon at the same time, they can't just all-in forfeit for that, because Vici Gaming will go high ground with that Aegis, and how has a DD rune bottled? Really smartly given by Super, although it is going to get popped now, and he's got an MKB at the same time, so that damage we were talking about them lacking is no longer a problem.
Definitely, and at this rate, with the way that Super is actually keeping in pace, he could actually be a decent damage dealer as time goes on as well. Now, Resolution is still top of the board, sitting at 17,000. He's got the Aghanims now with the BKB, and of course that Assault Cuirass he picked up earlier. Silent has the BKB as well, so they do have that Magic Immunity option. Yoki has gone for not only the Blink Dagger and Force Staff, but also the Yule Scepter for the added utility. What is really the play for Yoki with this Yules?
I think it's just to throw up whoever he can and buy time. It's kind of like the same application of when you just pick up an item to get an advantage in a team fight, right? It resets things a lot. For example, if you can just Ice hooks in, you can lift him before the cogs or anything like that. Or if you can just continue the fight more than anything. So if Yoki gets initiated on, then he can just immediately use himself, then Force Staff, then Blink out, and just reposition. Like, it's just a pure utility item.
Oh, this could be the play. If Vici Gaming managed to get a pick off here, this could be the just the